Art?
Hi, Wayne. Was there any discussion with your colleagues in the other colleges in terms of them volunteering to kill some even less viable majors and leaving media studies in existence?
So I would question less viable. None of our majors have declined at this rate over that timeline.
Well,
Now,
that's
if we're
declined. I agree. Of course, the new curriculum went into effect in January, and so it hasn't had any time to gain any traction. But I'm thinking in terms of some of the majors which have a handful of people, and we're supporting those majors. And I'm just wondering if there'd been any discussion about a little swappage, among the colleges, so that to allow media studies, which of course is well, never mind. I'll shut up and let you answer the question.
So between the colleges, there hasn't been a lot of discussion in that regard. And part of that, as you well know, is what other programs are serving and things of that sort, plus the political difficulty of those cross-college interactions. Within the college, if we look at some of our lower enrollment majors, one might look at, say for example, horticulture. Now, the horticulture enrollments have been relatively steady, but it is a low enrollment major. However, we have only one FTE assigned to it. So if you look at the FTE to student ratio, it's actually pretty good. But it is something that bears looking into, and in fact that is being looked into, is that the soils and crops science, horticulture, and reclamation and environmental conservation are all looking to realign as a new soils and crops science major. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah.
It's just interesting to me that in an age when media are ubiquitous, that and we're getting reaccredited, that we're axing a major that has some relevance.
It does have some relevance. I don't argue that.
Going off of what he mentioned, I was just wondering if any outreach programs or enrollment have really been put into place since we've been absorbed into a business college. Because looking at your graph and going off of personal experiences, many of the people who have been put into media studies as juniors and seniors were poorly advised in their current major. So for example, you have a lot of people switching from computer science into media studies because they didn't fit well in computer science, or switching from just business into something more like web development inside of media studies because they didn't feel like they hit a niche. And so that's kind of why you see more of the junior seniors in our program. So I was just wondering if an outreach program has actually taken place to help freshmen find out if they want to be in media studies.
The outreach that has occurred is consistent with the outreach of the rest of our programs. I don't know if there's anything else that you can comment on in that regard.
Nothing specific. I mean, again, students will find their way where they find their niche.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true that sometimes students don't find that until their sophomore year, maybe junior year. But in terms of extra efforts to recruit into media studies, we rely on other students and faculty to do that.
And I understand, media studies is a great fit for you folks, or you wouldn't be here, right? That's not the issue. I mean, the last thing I want to do is cut this program. It's a great program. We got 4 high-quality faculty in this program. It's not like I woke up one day and said, today what I want to do is cut media studies. I think if you looked historically, when I became dean, you see quite the opposite, in that we invested in media studies and invested in positions in that regard. And unfortunately, we ran into some tough budget times. Yeah.
I think this guy had a question before I did, so
Please.
I'm curious of what you said earlier regarding her question. So 2 years ago, I believe it was, we had that meeting and sat down. So basically what you just portrayed to us is that through those 2 years, there were no specific items on the agenda to up enrollment in the media studies program. You just relied on our involvement, trying to bring students to our own major.
Well, I don't think that there was anything different than what's been done before in terms of recruiting to the major.
So if we see a problem in enrollment, instead of, let's say, cutting the major, don't you think that there should have been specific steps taken to try and up enrollment so we don't have to cut such a viable major? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, you know, part of it is, again, a resource question in regards to what we're going to promote across the university. And so media studies is treated the same as biology or what have you in regards to that promotion.
Is the
So-
engineering department just okay plans for, I think, a multi-million-dollar structure being built on campus in the next few years?
Yeah. Yes?
My question's a little outside of that. I was just wondering if anyone had passed this by faculty senate, because I think the last 2 meetings I've been at, they had mentioned, or they had done some sort of process to approve majors, or they had at least known of majors being approved, or personally, I feel like going to these meetings, I should have known that media studies was in trouble 3 weeks ago.
So there's always a starting point. We will be going through the governance process. But the governance process does not occur in a vacuum. So I felt that it was important, and I talked to the media studies faculty about this. I felt that it was important to first sit down with them to talk about it, and then also to get the message out so you know about it, so that the governance process isn't occurring over here without you knowing what's happening and the rationale behind it. And so the decision to pursue this angle was made recently. And, you know, that's where we're at. So, yes.
So I guess going forward, we'll just be able to pursue our major as normal and have our normal graduation plans and things like that, same classes.
You will have a media studies degree curriculum-wise.
So that you guys think you get assignments from your faculty. Well, I've given the faculty an assignment. As you sit down for your advising appointments this fall, your advisors are going to be sitting down looking at what do you have left to complete. And we're going to collect all that and determine what classes need to be offered next year. And if there's one person that needs a specific class, then maybe that's better served by an independent study or a portfolio process. So we will work on that as you guys are developing your plans for finishing out your degree.
So like those major skill classes that are specialized classes won't be cut. We'll be able to get those skills from those classes?
Again, it depends on what your major is. If you're a senior, that's under the old catalog. We've been doing some adjustment all along with regard to finding either suitable substitutes or portfolio process or identifying classes that can